Okay, let's get started. Just want to thank everyone for joining us today for another Workshop Wednesday. I'm Jen Slattery with the League of Cities and Towns, and we are excited to have our friends with us to talk about infrastructure, housing, and so forth. We have Mike Tondra from the Executive Office of Housing. Mike is the Director of Community Programs and Municipal Engagement. And we also have Carrie Zaslow, the Executive Director of the Providence Revolving Fund. So I'm wearing two hats trying to let people into the room. So I'm just going to turn it right over to you, Mike. I'll let you get started and we'll go from there. Thanks for being
Thank,
here.
thank you, Jen. And I'll share my screen and just have a very brief PowerPoint that I'll provide some key talking points. As Jen mentioned, my contract, I work in the Executive Office of Housing as the Director of Community Programs and Municipal Engagement, and other folks that have joined this call from Department of Housing include Peter Beeson, who's our Director of Housing Production, and Josh Belly, who many of you know works with all of you on various municipal initiatives, including the Fellows Program, comprehensive plans, etc. So let me make sure we can share this.
Mike, we're just going to need you to talk a little bit
Oh,
louder.
sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, I've heard that this microphone can be a little bit temperamental, so I'll try to project. It probably doesn't help that I'm a little bit soft spoken, so it probably mutes me even more. So please, yeah, I'm not offended at all if you just tell me keep speaking up.
Okay,
You have
thanks.
a tendency to drift down. Trust this is a good enough volume for folks. Hopefully. As I mentioned, I'm here to talk about a couple of the recently released requests for proposals related to infrastructure associated with affordable housing, and a little bit of background on the Community Development Block Grant Program, which is kind of a bread and butter program, which has existed for a few decades in the state. And then I'll be turning the presentation over to Carrie, who is a vendor that's been selected by the state to operate a residential rehabilitation program. But the first thing I want to know is that many of you are familiar with the system, but all of our RFPs and all of our grant funding opportunities are now requested and managed through a system known as eCivis, which is our state's grants management portal. The URL that's shown on this slide is how you can get to it, or you can also go into Google and just type Rhode Island State Grant Opportunities, and it will bring you one of the top links will bring you right to this page. Within there, you will see all of the grant opportunities throughout the state. If you scroll down on the screens to the section that says RIHOU, those are the ones that are being issued by the Rhode Island Executive Office of Housing. And the ones that are active right now show two related to the Community Development Block Grant Program. And those categories, applications are accepted on a rolling basis. And two, which we just recently, over the past week or two, dropped, which relate to infrastructure, which will be the focus of my comments today. One little cautionary note to everybody is that if you have not yet been in the system or you've had any changeovers in staff, please go into the system early. Make sure you can access the RFPs. You can start entering in the details of your applications and draft even before submitting. The one thing you don't want to do is wait until the last minute to submit these proposals because some unanticipated technical difficulty that you might have. If it prevents you from submitting the application through the system on time by the deadline, we will not be able to entertain it. It's a firewall within the system, so and within the procurement process overall. So please apply early. There's no harm if you have all the details pulled together to get your application in sooner rather than later. So the first RFP that's out there is a broader one. It's known as the Housing Infrastructure Program. The applications relative to this are due in just a few weeks by November 28th. Folks may seem like it's a relatively short application window, but when you go into the forms, you'll see that it's a fairly abbreviated request. There's not a whole lot that's required to pull it together. Most of the materials that are asked for have probably been compiled for other funding requests that the project was sought funding from. So we have at this point allocated $8 million towards this initiative. No individual project is actually, there are no project minimums or maximums, so you can request up as much of the funding as you want or need for your project, but do keep in mind that this is a competitive process and the state is attempting to make the best use of the funding that's been available. So we're going to be looking at those projects, funding those projects that have the greatest impact with the minimum amount of money. There a lot of folks are asked if whether or not multiple applications could be submitted by the same applicant, and there is no restriction within the system that you could submit multiple applications, not for the same project, but for the same, maybe from the same application applicant. There's no problem. Eligible applicants under this program include all of you as municipalities, but it also includes applications from nonprofit and for-profit developers directly to the office. So I would imagine in many cases they're working with you all, but the application does not have to be submitted. Overall, the intent of this initiative, which I probably should have started with, is really to support infrastructure that is directly related with an affordable housing project that's planned. It's very broadly defined, so we have included some examples of the types of infrastructure programs that we anticipate seeing, the things that you commonly think of, like water and sewer projects or septic, streets and sidewalks, utility work. All of those are included, but if there's something else that you think also fits within this definition, feel free to submit it, as it's not an exhaustive list. The utility and work may be within the boundaries of the affordable housing project itself, or it actually may be on public land outside of those boundaries, but it's essential to making that project, that affordable housing project work. There does have to be a connection with this infrastructure to a housing project. You can't, and that is part of the application. We will be asking for some of the details associated with that housing project to make sure that but for this assistance and but for this infrastructure investment, this housing project would not occur. There is, and while we acknowledge that existing units we want to maintain, we want to modernize units that are in the system to assure their preservation. The focus of this initiative is really new units that are being brought into our inventory. So if you have an infrastructure project associated with the existing modernization of the federal housing project or public housing, there may be other funding opportunities that are available to you, like CDBG program, but that is not the intent of this RFP specifically. So as you go into when you go into the e-service system and you go to apply, you'll see that we've not only requested the budgets for the infrastructure project itself, but we've also requested the budgets for the associated housing project. And the reason for that is kind of obvious. We want to make sure that the housing project itself is viable, because if we have a huge investment in infrastructure for a project that just is never going to get off the ground, that will be, ineffective investment of public resources. So we have asked you for some of those details. That the project may be at different phases, but at this point, it's probably going to be fairly pulled together from a budgetary standpoint, so we will be able to see kind of the overall capital stack for that affordable housing balance, as well as a general operating budget for the units, so that we can really do a very kind of general review of the project. It's not going to be as intensive as what you would be seeing in a budget request for an affordable housing project, like you're seeing through the one-stop housing, but it will include some information that needs to be there. Now, we do anticipate that some of you may have questions about this RFP, particularly because much of it is kept very general and broad on purpose. What we're asking is that anybody that does have questions, that you submit them in writing to me by email. What I will be doing is compiling all of those questions, drafting answers, and then posting a Q&A for any interested applicant to take a look at before submitting the proposal. The second, the second RFP seems similar, but it is a bit different. It's what's known as the Municipal Infrastructure Design Initiative, or MIDI. Because they are so similar, we did not want to have the same application due date. So we pushed out the application due date on this one to be December 5th. A lot of the same intent that I mentioned relative to the first initiative follows on this, and that we are interested in supporting infrastructure that's associated with a housing project. But in this instance, the housing project may be a little bit further out. And at this point, the only thing that you're looking to do is to support architectural and engineering and soft costs associated with infrastructure, which primarily is on municipal land, but that is related to a planned affordable housing project, but you may not have really worked through all the details of that affordable housing project. So we're not even asking you for the budget on the housing project at this point, because the details of it may change. It may become home ownership, it may be rental, it may number of units. Some of all of that may end up changing down the road. So this is a little bit further back. And because of the municipal connection with the infrastructure, the eligible applicants under this initiative is solely municipalities. Now, you may have development partners that you're working on for the subsequent housing project or even for the infrastructure project itself. But they cannot apply directly to us. They would just be part of your municipal application into us. The amount of money that's been allocated to this initiative is substantially less. It's $1 million as opposed to the 8 for the first initiative. This was all part of the affordable housing bond that was passed recently, and you may remember that there was $1 million in there for a municipal program, and that is where these resources are coming from. Similar to a lot of what I said with the other initiative, we want to see that direct housing connection. We want to we outright to be collecting questions on this one through my email, and then assembling answers and posting a Q&A on the 17th. So if you have any questions relative to this, feel free to submit them in writing as soon as possible. It's all still going through the state's grants management system with no individual project maximum or minimums that we fully acknowledge. But in this instance, because of the limiting amount of money that is available, we may only be funding 1 or 2 projects. We won't be able to spread around money as much as we would with an 8 million or more. Now, a program that you're all familiar with is the Community Development Block Grant Program, and that's used. We are just coming out of our annual competitive cycle where we were able to allocate funding for some infrastructure projects in neighborhoods in our non-entitlement communities throughout the state. And that program is anticipated to continue. There will be another RFP for those competitive public facility improvement activities going into next year. But we did just want to flag that if, as a municipality, if you have any affordable housing or residential rehabilitation needs that you want to have addressed, there are open RFPs relative to these, and that the applications are accepted on a rolling basis. They're funded from first come, first served. We have approximately $3.5 million available from our annual $5 million allocation. Our action plan indicates that we're only reserve about 30% of the annual competitive cycle, so there's quite a bit of money there. There is the typical CDBG requirements that the majority of units have to be occupied by households at or below 80% area median income, and the state's program can only fund projects in those 33 non-entitlement communities that don't receive allocations directly from HUD. But if you do have something or you're considering something, feel free to reach out to our office staff. There are different staff that are assigned to the various communities, and we can actually help you in developing those proposals. Unlike the competitive process, like the two infrastructure programs I just talked about, because this is a non-competitive rolling application, that firewall isn't there, and we can help you work an application to pull it together. We can flag for you before you finalized it, anything that might be a regulatory challenge or and help you kind of overcome those. So please use us as a resource if you want to apply for either of these categories. For affordable housing, we do have a limitation of $500,000 per project per year, but that may not be the full amount that the CDBG invested in a single affordable housing project. It just means that we may have to phase the amount that's needed over multiple years. And those of you that have been recipients of funds know that we have done that in recent years and phased things over 2 to 4 years in some instances to get to $2 million in support for the project. Lastly, I'm going to be turning over the presentation to Carrie Zaslov from the Providence Revolving Fund, but wanted to give you a little context of what this is. A portion of our bond has been allocated $6 million to support a statewide residential rehabilitation or home repair program. We went out and conducted a competitive solicitation for selecting an administrative agency that can operate this initiative on behalf of the state, and the PRF was selected. The revolving fund has actually administered a very similar program that was state fiscal recovery funded in the prior months, and many of you may not have heard about it because it was very targeted by federal regulation to what were known as qualified census tracts. So it's very discrete areas in only several communities. So you may not have heard of it, but the program design that is going to be followed for this new program, which is anticipated to kick off in the coming month, provides up to $50,000 for 1 to 2 unit structures and up to $75,000 for 3 and 4 unit structures. And it does have residency requirements that is similar to CDBG, and that the building that's being rehabbed has to be permanently occupied by moderate income households. We are maintaining liens on property to make sure there's no flipping of properties that we're rehabbing, and the recipients that are occupying these units that qualify for structure are able to continue occupying them in the future. And the types of improvements that will be able to be done with this program include the full gamut from health and safety, accessibility improvements, lead improvements, energy improvements. But one thing that is a real strength of the revolving fund is that they have a lot of established relationship with other funding sources that are available with our housing spec program, the weatherization programs, and their own resources for labor. And they're able to coordinate these resources with the state funding program to make the most of the money that's available. We do have a couple of priority populations, including the elderly, and trying to bring some units that from landlords that are looking for the housing authorities on board, because we hear that there may be some units that are being underutilized out there, and want to make sure that we're maximizing that in the system. But with all of that, I am now going to turn it over to Carrie here at the final slide, which will be available to you. Have my email address where you can submit those questions relative to the infrastructure grants, and my phone number if you need to talk to me personally. But we're located up in Capitol Hill, and I will now turn it over to Carrie. So,
Mike, there were a couple of questions in the chat.
Oh, sorry, I have to close my screen, my share screen for me to see the questions. So we can judge them to that. There was a question about whether or not there is a match requirement, and no, there is not. Going back to what I said earlier, it being a competitive environment, obviously, if there's somebody out there that's able to bring in other resources to match and limit the amount that the state has to invest to get the job done, then we'll make it probably more competitive, but there is not a requirement, a match requirement. And somebody asked me about, I know, I instinctively call it e-survey, so I should just default and say the state's grants management system. there has been a name change recently. It's now called UNA, UNA. I'm not even sure if that's an instance for something, but that is correct. Sherry, thank you for flagging that, but I keep using improper terminology, past terminology, in describing the way management system. The question from Sean about whether or not the project has to be affordable housing, whether or not it's a bit lowercase or uppercase affordable housing. That's a very good question. When you're talking about the municipal program, we actually have put in there that it has to have a housing. It has to be housing in general, that we're actually promoting housing development overall for all income levels, but that's housing that include an affordability component, capital affordability component would be a priority of that resource. The first HIP program is focused on projects that have an affordable, uppercase, affordable housing component. It may not be exclusively, and there may be a combination of mixed income within a development, and that will, the level of affordability of affordable units that we're bringing will be a factor for the competition, for competitiveness and scoring. But and you all should take that into consideration. Structure be related to many housing projects, so it doesn't have to be a nexus to only one. Interesting. Okay, thank you. Actually, we hadn't considered it. We thought that much of the infrastructure would be associated with a single project. But if there is a real direct connection to multiple projects in the same area, I think that you could detail it in that way. You could submit a proposal in that way as well. It's hard to I mean, we're not investing in infrastructure just for the sake of infrastructure to promoting community as a whole. It is supposed to have a direct connection to housing, but if you had multiple housing projects where there was a direct connection, by all means, kind of include those in your proposal, because that will just only increase the number of units that you're showing as a benefit for this overall initiative. And I think that's so. Thank you. I will turn it over to Barry now.
All right, good morning, everyone. Trying to, yeah, well, we'll just go with this. Here we go. I'm going to start by just saying, introducing myself, Carrie Zaslow. I'm the executive director of the Providence Revolving Fund, or as we call ourselves more these days, PRF, because we should not ever let the Providence, fool you. We have been a statewide organization for the last 5 years, and estimate that, at this point, more than 50% of our investments are going outside of the city of Providence. However, when you have a 45-year-old organization, changing the name is no easy task. So we're working on it, but it's a hard one. I want to talk to you about our home repair programs, and I want to just start with, we've been working as a home repair lender for 45 years. We continue to have these loan programs as well as the state program. So for individuals that are not necessarily income eligible, for individuals for whom these programs don't necessarily work, we do still offer a loan program. It generally is a very flexible underwriting with below market rate interest rates. The interest rates are determined based on the income of the homeowner, as well as any renters they have, and those programs will always continue. The program we proposed to the state was designed really using our existing program, where we are a little different than a normal lender. We have a construction management team on staff, and every project that comes in to us, whether they're getting a loan from us or whether they're able to use a program that's providing them with a forgivable loan, they are assigned a construction manager who goes out, does a full inspection of their property, writes specs, bids the project, and oversees all of the payouts and all of the construction to make sure that it's to spec. This really creates a system where all of our homeowners and renters who have repair programs through us have a sense of feeling that they are being that they don't have to worry too much about whether or not the contractor's doing the right thing, whether or not they're asking for something new, whether or not this is, they're getting a good deal. We take care of all of that, and it really has created a real success model for our borrowers, and we extend it to those who are getting forgivable loans too. So in March of 2023, we were the successful bidder on an RFP to create and administer a loan program for the Department of Inspection and Standards in Providence. That program was funded through fines that were collected by Providence, and it allowed us to start running these kinds of programs. We ultimately did another $3 million with the city of Providence over ARPA, and then in February of 24, we were selected as the bidder for a $4.5 million state home repair program that was in qualified census tracts. And I want to talk a little bit about that just because I want everybody here to understand exactly what the interest level was for this program, because we want to make sure that everybody across the state understands and knows that this program exists. So if they need it, they can apply for it. We received, before we shut down the portal, close to 1,000 applications. 402 of those are actually in our wait list, and 345 did not qualify for this program because they did not qualify for our Providence funding, nor were they in qualified census tracts. So we will be letting all of those people know. We've already sent them one reminder. We'll be sending them another reminder when the new portal opens. But the interest was really far and wide, and it was truly statewide. We did see the most applications from East Providence, Pawtucket, Woonsocket, Cranston, Warwick, and West Warwick. And those were areas where we were able to do some of that work if they were in qualified census tracts in those cities. Here, hopefully everybody can see this, but there's virtually not a single municipality in the state where we did not receive at least one single application. And in many cases, we received more than that, even where this program, they did not qualify for this program, nor were we targeting any kind of marketing materials or online outreach in those areas. In terms of what we're seeing, both the mean and the median homeowner is someone age 55. We are seeing that the vast majority of the income levels are between 30 and 80% of the area median income. And roof repair is the most common request that we are receiving. The new program that we're going to be offering, the portal opens on November 15th at 9 a.m. Qualified properties are eligible for a forgivable loan. This means they make no out-of-pocket, there's no out-of-pocket expense. They will not be making any ongoing payments. The lien on the property, there's a lien on the property for 5 years. It forgives 20% per year. And there is no repayment required unless the property is sold or there's a foreclosure. Forgivable loans, as Mike already said, 50,000 for 1 and 2, 75,000 for 3 and 4s. There are a number of different things that people are qualified for. We are going to be working with a variety of other programs to maximize the amount of projects we're able to do. We also can work with any of the municipalities to include CDBG in this as well. So where we find properties and projects that are eligible, we will likely be reaching out to qualified municipalities to ask if we can prepare the materials for them to submit the application for CDBG, so that again, we are able to use as many different sources so that we can maximize the program. Eligibility, this is for 1 to 4 unit properties. Non-owner occupied properties are eligible. The program is available to properties where more than 1/2 of the units are occupied by households with incomes under 80% of the area median income. This can include owners or renters. Also, key properties are not required to be insured. While we do prefer properties to be insured, and we do work with homeowners after the repairs are done to encourage them to opt for homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance is not a requirement by law, and we want to make sure that we're not limiting people who are living in unsafe or unhealthy conditions to not be able to access this if they have either had their homeowners insurance dropped or if they have dropped it voluntarily. I'm going to spend just a minute here going through the process. So we have a bilingual intake team. We have facilities in place to be able to work with a variety of different languages, but on staff, we have Spanish and English staff members who speak both of those languages fluently. The intake can be received through the portal or through paper application, or people can call and my team can fill out the application with them online while they're on the phone. Once we've pre-screened and they've said that they meet these qualifications, we run the full income verification. This generally can include a variety of different things. If homeowners or renters already qualify for other programs where they've had to go through income verification, then we can actually just take proof that they've already been accepted into those programs. And this list is not limited to these, but it includes school lunch, includes WIC, TANF, SNAP, if they got accepted into the LIHTC program. All of those programs require income verification, and all we need is something that shows that they were accepted into that program. We don't have to go through the process with them. They don't have to reproduce all of the materials. However, if they have not been accepted into any of those programs, we generally are looking for their source of income. We're going to look at their bank accounts, look at pay stubs if they're receiving pay stubs, Social Security payments, and then additionally, looking at leases if they have tenants, all of those kinds of things. We will ask for tax returns only if they are self-employed or if we have some other reason that we need to double check on some other kind of income. Once they've completed the income verification, we do a title search. If they have insurance, we'll make sure that we are included on the binder. The property's inspected, bidded, and then we close the loan and we put the project into construction. If for whatever reason people apply and they're not eligible for this program, our staff reaches out to them and we talk to them about any other programs that we might have available. Many of those may include interest or payments, but we'll talk to them about it so that we are making sure that we're not leaving anyone hanging or feeling as though they've not been responded to by this program. This is what the portal looks like. If you were to look at it, the big is when you're looking at it on a screen or for either a computer or a tablet. The other is sort of the mobile view. This is, it's a really easy to use platform called JotForm. You don't need to download anything. You don't need to be subscribed or anything like that. It's very, very easy to use. People find it very convenient, and you can upload the needed documents to that to get things in very quickly. It is fully encrypted and safe to add all of the documents in. Again, as I said, we do offer these as paper documents as well. We understand that there are certainly many people that find being able to apply online to be a challenge. So we offer that. We also offer assistance with filling out the application. I think I just went through a lot of this, so I just wanted to sort of reiterate that we look at a whole variety of different things as we look to see whether or not a program is eligible. Our construction management is, again, as I said, this really is such a unique thing that we're able to offer. We feel like it really sets our program apart and really makes it very successful. Cost estimates are reviewed with the homeowner to confirm what the priorities are. Obviously, we prioritize health and safety first. We schedule site visits with contractors so that they can look at the project and put in bids. We have an open rolling contractor database with a RFQ for licensed insured contractors. We would love to advertise that with any of you as well as this program. We currently have 46 contracting firms that are in our system. We vet all of them. We have ticklers set up in our system so that we make sure that we are collecting their insurance and licensing, and it's all up to date on a regular basis. And we really feel that we are able to ensure that any contractor that comes through and bids is going to do a great job. Once the repair work begins, the project managers visit the job sites. They make sure that everything is complying to the specifications, standards, and also obviously all regulations. The construction management team is well versed in all OSHA, lead, asbestos, and other types of remediation techniques and standards. The forgiveness, again, forgives 20% per year. There is a lien that is placed on the property. If there is a sale or foreclosure, the property pays back the remaining loan balance out of the proceeds. Here's my contact information. And I do also just want to add that we are having a few info sessions for individuals who are who might need to learn more about this outside of computers. We want to make sure that they're ready. We will be ready for to help assist people. The first three will be taking place at the first one is taking place at the Warwick Public Library. And that is on Monday, the 10th from 6 to 7:30. This is on our website. People do not need to sign up in advance, but we'll send this out. Hopefully, Jen, you can help me send these dates out to everybody. We are also going to be offering in Providence at 383 West Fountain Street from several different sessions. All will be bilingual, English, Spanish, where people can come into the office hours and meet with the staff to discuss what kinds of materials they need to start gathering. We'll have information sessions throughout the state. If anybody's interested in having us come and speak in their city or town, we will absolutely come and arrange that. Additionally, I want to also offer that we do have a number of materials that we can provide to any of the cities and towns if they want to include information about this program in their newsletters or emails or on their websites. I can provide either the electronic or print ready program announcements that can be co-branded with any of the cities and towns, please feel free to reach out to me for that at any time. I think I will just say that is probably how East Providence ended up with the most applications. It's because they ran with that and really took the time and put it out there through the city's social media as well as their newsletters. And I think that really, they reached people that we might not be reaching. So we want to make sure that everybody knows about this, and that we're able to really reach out to anybody who is interested. I'll stop sharing my screen and see if there are any questions. Although my computer doesn't seem to be reloading, so if there are questions, look, there's.
I want to say first, I want to say thank you for all of those other people on here who are listening to Carrie, and you want to get your residents real help. This is such a win-win-win. We have our own program that we work in-house using CDBG funds, but Carrie's organization just added to the capacity, and it really is hands off, hands free. She does all the work, and we get all the positive accolades from the residents. So it's a good tool for your community. By all means, I recommend everybody take advantage of it.
Thank you. I don't know if
Wonderful.
there are any more questions. I don't see any in the chat, but if other people have questions, I'm happy to just listen. People can shout it out, or if people want to even go ahead and let me know that they want to set something up, we're ready and open to it.
That's great. Yeah, if people would like to ask any questions, feel free to either raise your hand, take yourself off mute, whatever works for you. Give a little check here.
If you wouldn't mind, I just wanted to open it up. This is my Tumblr. I just wanted to open it up. I know Josh and Peter here. Has anything you want to bring to the attention of these maybe to
Hey, Mike, pretty tough to hear you, but I think I got the gist of what you were saying. You were mentioning the adaptive reuse feasibility?
That's one of the things I was referring to, but I mentioned very generally, if there's anything you want to bring to the attention, we can just have it.
Yeah, just to draw some attention for the adaptive reuse feasibility study. It's still on a rolling basis and very, very informal process. If there are any sites in your municipalities that you think would be a good fit for adaptive reuse for residential, then please contact me or Mike or Peter, and we can look into getting a consultant to do a feasibility study at those sites at no cost to the municipality and no obligation for the municipality or the property owner to move forward with that particular use. So if that's something that you're interested in, you don't know how to get a project initiated or off the ground, you'd like some additional information, really they do a cost estimate and some energy modeling. They do a zoning analysis, and they'll do a report and send that to the property owner if that's a municipality. That's kind of the primary goal, but we will also consider privately owned sites as long as we feel that there is a good chance that the property owner is invested in doing the adaptive reuse. So just wanted to remind everyone that is on a rolling basis and still ongoing.
This is this is Peter. I just put a link to our vacant school site. This is not limited to school buildings, but on that site we do have a couple. One of the studies that was recently completed for a vacant school building in Providence by the Signal Works, who is the vendor we're working with currently. So if you're interested in looking at that, you can get a sense of kind of the scope of what that study is.
I have a quick question. I came out on the meeting a little late, so I didn't hear all of it. You may have discussed this earlier. The city's looking at a piece of property that we'd like to purchase. We had it appraised recently. We'd like to purchase it to work with a nonprofit to have it developed into affordable housing. Is there money out there, Mike, for that? for acquisition of land for that type of use? You're muted.
You're on mute.
Sorry, that's more Peter's shop. The RFPs that I was referring to were the infrastructure RFPs. So Peter, is there anything that you direct with him?
It's hard to hear, Mike. You've been gobbled.
Yeah, this is Peter. Mayor, there's a program that we're in the process of putting together, that we actually have an RFP out to hire a nonprofit agency to run the program, which is for site acquisition fund. That is going to be kind of pre-qualifying nonprofit agencies so that they can get a line of credit and go out and purchase property. So it wouldn't be, that should be available in the beginning of the calendar year or so. There's going to be at least $10 million total in that fund. That would be a loan that would get paid back when a affordable housing deal closes on the property. But the sub applicants to that fund would be nonprofit agencies rather than a municipality. But the other thing
that works. That works. I like that. I actually like that better. So
okay,
that's something that we can work. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. And our
know.
purpose with that was about, making sure that nonprofits have the ability to nimbly kind of pursue land. Some of the other programs in the past, if they had to go and get a board vote from Rhode Island Housing or something like that to get funding, the amount of time it could take could be a problem. But the other thing I just want to mention quickly, I'm not going to go into it in great detail, but I'm just putting in the link. In Rhode Island, we did with a lot of our bond funding, we put together a joint RFP with Rhode Island Housing that came out in October, and the applications are due December 18th. If you go to the Rhode Island Housing RFP site, it's called Development of Affordable Homes, or Request for Proposal for the Development of Affordable Homes. So $66 million of our bond funds are included in different opportunities within that, as well as the federal LIHTC, some of the federal HUD funding for development of affordable housing that's run through Rhode Island Housing, our state low-income housing tax credit program, which is in its second year this year. All of those are kind of combined in this one mega RFP. So I'm sure a lot of the developers in your communities are aware of this, but just want to make sure you all are aware. One other piece relative to the question within that big RFP is 10 million for acquisition and revitalization of blighted property. So folks are going to be coming to the municipalities asking for a letter to demonstrate that a property is blighted. That's one thing I just want the communities to be aware of. So that is money again for acquisition. It does have to be for blighted property, and it really would be an applicant from a developer that kind of also shows where they're going on putting housing onto that property as well. So there's a lot of information on that RFP page for Rhode Island Housing. I believe even a video of the info session that we did with them last week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, any additional questions? All right, well, thank you so much to Mike and Carrie for joining us today. We certainly appreciate the information, and if anyone has questions, certainly feel free to contact them, or I can funnel those through onto the appropriate contacts as well. So just like to thank you again, all of you, for attending, and we will see you at the next workshop Wednesday. Thanks so much.
Thank you.